Hi, you guys. So this is a very, very, very different video topic for me today, but I thought it was necessary as I'm constantly finding myself in situations of power struggles, and a lot of times that happens when you have a case where somebody knows themselves very well, and there's other people who are trying to tell them how to lead their life or how to act or how to be in their own existence, either directly or like by throwing shade or shots or little slick comments or replies or like even just manipulative things that people can do. And the thing about this, I touched in another video, if you don't know yourself, that causes a lot of people to come into your life and to take control of you, to tell you all their opinions, and you take them to heart, you take them as fact. You could end up in depression or just leading a life that's entirely not created of your own. And a lot of this happens to a lot of workers. A lot of times we're raising a society, not of individuals, but of people who follow, who can't think critically for themselves. Yeah, we're taught basic school ideas, but a lot of people aren't like still truth seeking and trying to discover knowledge of how the world works by themselves. So that leaves people, if you're not doing that, that leaves people open for control to just be this puppet for whoever wants to use them. It could be the mass collective. It could be just a boss at work. That's not really shit, but since they're the boss, they can get over on you. It could be in relationships, loved ones, family. It can be in any dynamic. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if like people sometimes don't even try to manipulate people or try to mind control people. It's just a thing to some people learn and adapt doing that to survive or how to get their way if they don't know how to act directly. So yeah, I've been through many situations where I have been controlled and I have been the controller. And sometimes it's really unconscious because a lot of times when you go in life, life is really a game of survival sometimes, depending on your background and where you're from. But growing up, a lot of mind control and manipulation happened in my family. That's the easiest way that stuff can happen because you give all your trust in someone instead of thinking like, maybe I should be a little skeptical or like question my authority or question what I'm being told instead of like, okay, I'm teaching you this now, believe me just because I say it kind of thing. So a lot of manipulation and mind control comes from family, friends, close loved ones, all of that, because they are the ones that you're having all your faith in and you're essentially powerless for a large portion of your life. The next step is like if you grew up in abusive homes and stuff like that, or you just grew up ignorant to like society and how the world works, then that leaves you open for when you grow up and you get into the world, then people use you to build their dreams, use you to for their own purposes in the relationships, whatever it could be, sex, money. Maybe you just give them a certain status when they're with you. Whatever the case may be. What else can I say? What I title this? Manipulation, mind control, and knowing thyself. Okay, so yeah, manipulation happens a lot when people like. A lot of people have gifts too, and they misuse their power. So you have a lot of people who are either super smart and they try to get over on people who they deem seemingly like dumber than them. And one should never underestimate their enemy, for one. But there's a lot of people who use their knowledge in the wrong manner. Instead of teaching others, they use it for their own selfish means. And that's where a lot of manipulation and mind control comes into play. So if we don't educate ourselves, no one was really going to educate ourselves on these topics. And again, that leaves us open to be attacked in a way. I'm not saying walk around paranoid, but this is why we have so many power struggle relationships in society, I feel. And I have gotten to the point where I know myself enough to know when someone is trying to manipulate or sway me from my position. A lot of times I allow it to happen just slightly, but not really much anymore because like I'll just stand my ground and be like, fuck you, I know what you're trying to do. So I've gotten to the point where I know myself enough to be like, okay, if someone gives me a certain opinion of me, I'd be like, no, I really think I'm a dope person, regardless of what you think. And that might make people hate you because they can't like sway you in a way or like move your position or have you feel a type of way emotionally or mentally about yourself. In some cases, knowing yourself can keep you from even being in a lot of dangerous situations that you initially wouldn't have put yourself in if you knew yourself. So yeah, with that being said, let me see, mind control. Mind control, again, I feel like a lot of people do have gifts, magic, or knowledge that gives people an advantage that we must learn to utilize ourselves, not necessarily for bad things, but if you want to, that's to each his own. But in order to protect ourselves in a way, or just the knowledge of self is very powerful. And the knowledge of self is powerful in self-love and not being taken advantage of, for standing up for yourself. It has a large part to do with how you are presented in life, how people respect you, how you are taken, if you're taken serious or not by society. Now, if someone knows themselves and they stand their ground, then if people don't like you, they still respect you, because you're always going to say how you feel. You're always going to stick to the same kind of dialogue. But if you don't know yourself and you're always swaying, you're always like, oh, maybe you're right, or oh, okay, I'll do this and that, and you don't really know what you stand for, so you fall for anything kind of thing, then like that comes off as very weak, or very like you don't know how to lead your own life, which is very, very problematic and very unhealthy at times. So a way that we can kind of change this, and I've touched on this again, but I'll touch on this in this video, is knowing yourself. And a lot of times that takes a lot of research, inner reflection, introspection, a lot of being alone, a lot of leaving people who don't serve you, a lot of leaving training you to be the person that you're meant to be, this leader or this independent person who is created here to make change. And a lot of times people see that their whole life goes, like their life, a lot of people have this life where they can step into this leader role or this position to make great change in the world. But since they were scared to step up to the plate or step up to the challenge, they're never formed to be like this great author or this great speaker or even just help people like on YouTube or something simple. Like you have to be courageous enough to always want to change and better yourself, and be truthful to yourself and what your failures are, what your weaknesses are, because that's going to make you stronger. And the more you're truthful with yourself, the more authentic you are, and the more you glow and shine, and the more people can see that and feel that, and the more you attract to you, the more good things you attract to you. But not sometimes when you know yourself too, you will attract the people who don't fuck with that. So it's always going to be people who think you're shining too much. And depending on your background, some people are going to be like trying to kill your light all the time. And sometimes to me, I feel like our society is so neurotic or egotistic driven that this leads to death. So people think you're feeling yourself too much and they want to put you in your place, per se. You have a lot of people with superiority complexes who can't take people feeling themselves or like believing in themselves or feeling smart or feeling pretty or feeling beautiful. So that's why I feel like you get all those bullies and jealousy and hate cultures going around. But with that being said, though, try to learn how, if you don't know already who you are, try every day to, like, you can meditate and ask, who am I, every day, or you can literally put in the work that you feel intuitively you need. So if you feel drawn to books of introversion, extroversion, or I want to study psychology in school, or I want to go travel, like, it's literally your choice. It's your power, and you must take control of the situation at hand. So yeah, that is a little bit about mind control and manipulation. So to minimize that today, start with knowing yourself, what you will put up with, what you will put up with, and what you don't fuck with, and stand your ground. Like, don't sway. I mean, it's obviously if someone is important enough to hear their opinion out and it betters your life, by all means, that's fine.